Welcome back to Unlocking Your More with Janna Holtzman. Today is a fun, exciting episode because I have Brenna here with me. We actually did our intuition training together, so we have practiced a lot, and she's helped me in a lot of reads and vice versa. So, why don't you just kind of do a quick intro for yourself before we jump in?
Yes. So hi, I'm Brenna Ruiz. Like Janna said, I am a intuitive, highly trained intuitive. I'm a mom of two. I have a lot of like crazy certifications just on my way to learning how to heal myself. So I've definitely tried it all. I'm certified in NLP and clinical hypnotherapy. I'm a Reiki master, like you name it, I have tried it. So all on my journey to heal myself, and
hmm
I'm sure we'll get to talking about that soon, but that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. I feel like many of us like high achieving women tend to do that. We're like looking for the next certification, the next course, the next thing that's going to, make it all make sense. Like, I
Mhm.
know I'm
Mhm.
here for a bigger purpose, so maybe this thing will be it. So,
Mhm.
what are you still trying to like consume all of this information, or did you come to a point where you're like, oh, maybe there's a different way?
Yeah, this is definitely it. I feel like the intuition world that I stumbled upon, and then with that, the self-love and self-image healing really
hmm
is the most powerful, if you want to call it a modality, but it's the most powerful thing that I have found over 6 years of searching for resources and help and how can I feel better and um, how can I just show up as a better mom and wife and individual. And so the search has ended.
Yeah.
It has ended here, and this really is the work that I'm doing now with current and future moms for sure.
Okay. So what was it in like with intuition that really like let you put on the brakes and be like, okay, maybe I don't need to continue looking outside of myself for another certification
Mhm.
course thing?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think with every certification that I did and every training that I did, it was a piece of what I'm doing now, but it never
Yeah.
fully ever felt like this is the thing that is going to change women's lives forever. The way that this work that I'm doing now does. Like, even I'm also a certified life coach, of course,
Mhm.
because
Same.
yeah. And I also have a certification just to work with moms as a life coach. So there's a lot that I've, like I said, dabbled with, but
Mhm.
it wasn't until about just over a year ago when I started this work where I'm like, whoa, intuition is the key. Self-love and self-image healing is the key because you can really get to the emotional root cause of any problem in life. So how you are, how your family dynamic is, your kids
Mhm.
acting crazy, how people treat you, your health, how you look, how you feel, your confidence, your career, your finances, literally everything comes down to an emotional root cause.
Yeah.
And that is what we are able to lower the veil and look at through intuition. And then every emotional root cause is related to either self-love or self-image. So that's how those three things tie together. And then taking intuitive tools and connecting with a client or myself, depending on if I'm reading myself or a client, you can connect to that person's higher
Mhm.
self and actually get them custom tools and a custom protocol directly from their higher self to heal and shift the emotional root cause that caused the problem in the first place, or the symptom, or we call them the reflection in the
Yeah.
first place. And that heals and shifts at the emotional root cause, which not only shifts and heals the symptom, so to speak, the
Mhm.
reflection, but
Yep.
also improves your life in other ways too. So you're healing both the root cause area and you're healing the area that the symptom shows up. So it's like getting massive life upgrades,
Yeah.
whereas other modalities, to me, Reiki is very much in the feminine because you can't tell Reiki exactly what it's going to do, right?
Okay.
When I look in, it is high frequency, yes, but it is not as high frequency as intuitive work, self-image, self-love work, which
Yeah.
is directly guided by your higher self source. This is the source truth.
Hmm.
So the other things can be helpful. Do they inform some of the things that I do? Yes. The my understanding of neuroscience and the subconscious mind and all that definitely, having a um, NLP, neuro linguistic programming certification definitely gave me a good foundation for that, but
Yeah.
it is not anywhere to the degree of effective, transformational, useful in my mind as this work that I'm doing now.
I love it.
Long answer.
Yeah. No, it's so good. And I totally, totally agree with you of just really being able to like quit the whole guessing game and get to the actual root of everything of how to actually shift it, what the actual problem is
Yes.
just something incredible. But as I kind of said, like so many people are constantly looking outside of themselves for the answers, but ultimately the reason being like feel like they've like lost sight of themselves. And like you really focus and work on moms, and I think that happens so much with motherhood. It's just
Mhm.
like everything in your life becomes about your child and
Yes.
you lose your identity. But so many people also in careers, right? Whether they're building a business and it could be like a soul aligned business, but it's just like they completely go ham and completely lose themselves. So, have you experienced that like before?
Have I experienced
Hmm.
it? Yes. That's literally my story,
Yeah.
100%. So my story goes back 6 years ago when I had my first son, Anthony. And that's exactly what happened to me in motherhood. I experienced a wide range of difficulties in
Hmm.
my from my birth experience with him to my postpartum to burnout to I mean, I could just list a few things quickly to for people to relate to, like not being able to breastfeed longer than 2 weeks, which was super traumatic, postpartum insomnia, extreme burnout, lots of physical pain postpartum, pain during sex postpartum. I mean, the list goes on. Undiagnosed postpartum anxiety. There was a whole shit ton of problems that I was facing, but definitely one of the main ones for sure was like throwing my entire identity into becoming his mom and losing sight of everything for myself.
Yeah.
And actually, part of my reclamation with that was I started blogging when he was about 5 months old because just to document my
Okay.
story of what do I do about postpartum anxiety? And then I went to therapy and did cognitive behavioral therapy and figured out tools to improve my sleep and things. And then I was like, women need to know this stuff. No one is talking about this. There are barely any resources for moms. Nobody
Yeah.
gives a fuck about moms. You have a baby and then you are just completely sidelined. And so I started kind of documenting this and sharing the resources that I could find, interviewing women's health and wellness experts. So that's how it started for me. And it was really my catharsis and my therapy to get me through that time and to rediscover, like, so who am I now
Mm.
as a mom? Um, because, of course, everybody knows this consciously, but before you have kids, all your time is centered around yourself or maybe your
Hmm.
partner and your
Yeah.
job. And then when you have kids, it really becomes like, I have to keep this person alive. I have to figure out it's like my sister said right after she had her son, this is cute. She said, I was like, what's it like to be a mom? And she's like, it's like your entire life so far has been in black and white and now it's in color. It's like a whole new
Mm.
dimension opening up of
Yeah.
like responsibility and ways that you need to spend your time and ways that you identify. And I don't know if I'm even doing it justice by this, but yes, it happened to me. Um, and my platform at the time, it's now my blog is now shut down, but it used to be called What About Mamas? Because it really was like
Yeah.
that feeling of what about me now? Like, and how can I find her and how can I bring her back and how can I nurture her and care for her? And I think
Yeah.
now, 6 years later, I'm finally figuring out how to do that. a second
Hmm.
kid in. I now have also a 2-year-old, but it really was the self-image and the self-love healing that got
Yeah.
me here in a way literally nothing else did in my 6 years of this journey so far.
Okay. So walk me through a little bit about like that stepping into what self-love and self-image like actually meant to you and like how did you start making those shifts to start finding yourself again?
Yeah, absolutely. So self-love is the ability to prioritize yourself and put yourself first. So self-love is really challenging for moms when you
Yeah.
have a tiny human being who is 100% dependent on you. They cannot do anything for themselves. So what moms tend to do is, okay, I'm going to do everything for you.
Hmm.
And if you're like me, you might even be like, even though I have help, I'm still going to be the only one doing anything for you. So there's a term for that. It's called maternal gatekeeping. And it's
Okay.
definitely tied to, I would say, the postpartum anxiety for me. It was this feeling
Mm,
of nobody can do this as good as I can. I'm the only one my son needs. My husband can't even give him a bath correctly. So I'm going to do everything myself. And that's a really, really common trap. And it's also something we're programmed towards as a society and as women and as moms.
I can
If
see
you think
that.
about, yeah, if you think about even the etiquette that we're trained as girls, it's like, serving others before yourself,
Yeah.
making somebody else a plate before yourself. I mean, it goes down to literal etiquette.
It's
And
so wild.
it is, right? And it
Yeah.
and it goes back to it's that thought contagion of, it's impolite to put yourself first. But really, it goes back to the phrase on the plane, right? You cannot help others without helping yourself first. So you got to put your air mask on before you can assist others, which is why when you do put yourself first, when you do prioritize
Hmm.
yourself and increase your self-love, you are caring for yourself, your needs and your wants, and then you are turning around to your kids, to your family, to your coworkers, to your boss, to your clients and saying like, now you get a better version of me that's
Yeah.
more regulated, that's more grounded, that has more to give, that isn't so burned out, that isn't so exhausted, that isn't so fried, that isn't responding on a hairline trigger, that isn't flipping the fuck out to her family.
Yes.
And that's just one piece is the self-love piece, but I really really find especially for moms, especially for women, but especially for moms, those self-love levels are so so low
Yeah.
because of the programming, because of the conditioning, but also partially just because there is very little guidance and support for moms in this transition into becoming a mom, which is has a name, by the way. It's called matrescence. It's
Oh, okay.
kind of like adolescence. There is a becoming, right, of a
Hmm.
woman into motherhood, and it is a transition that lasts like 7 years when it
Wow.
comes to your brain wiring, when it comes to your hormones, when it comes to your organs going back into place and how your body looks and feels and all of that stuff. It takes time. But of course, all you hear is like, let's bounce back postpartum and like, let's look exactly
Yeah.
the same as we did before and all that. Um, so that's the self-love piece.
Yes.
The self the self-image piece is really how you feel about yourself, how you perceive what you perceive for yourself and what you think others perceive of you. So this is beliefs about yourself. This is limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, what you believe is possible for you essentially.
Okay.
And it comes back to all of the programming again that we get even from a really young age. And it usually does go, root back to that childhood. Um, Beliefs that you created based on one little instance and you told a story to yourself about what is possible for you. So it could be
Mm,
things like I'm not capable of this or I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy or all those stories that we tell ourselves that create
hmm.
limiting beliefs about
Totally.
what is possible for us. And that's kind of self-image in a nutshell. And then it also goes into your appearance and like how you feel about yourself and how you look, and it's all tied together in a really interesting way. And then self-love and self-image are tied together too, because you really can't have one without the other. So they're like a perfect combination of, like I said, if you want to look better, feel better, have a better family dynamic, make more money, have a better career, be healthier, both of those things together need to be working really well together. And that's what we use our intuition to do. So long
Yeah.
answer, but it's a little bit complicated.
No, and I think it's really amazing because I am not a mother, but someday will be. It's just so interesting because it's like I can see it, but also recognizing that like I had those same experiences in a different capacity, even just like with my job, and especially nursing, right? Like nurses tend to be very like self-sacrificial and putting their
Hmm.
well-being last for taking care of their patients in the job. And even if you have to like pee or eat food, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
wait a couple hours because I have, people need me, people. And I think it's just there's so many different places in our lives that this happens. And then I feel like motherhood is just like that, like the peak experience of like how you could literally be doing this in so many small ways of putting yourself last, of not prioritizing yourself, and then this like, full life transition that literally could take 7 years
100%.
completely just amplifies that to such an extreme level. Okay, so whether people have already, been mothers or, maybe not there yet, when it comes to like I feel like self-love, you defined it great, and self-image, you defined it great, but like I think it's one of those things that people still are like, I don't know where to start. Like it's still
Yeah.
just such an abstract thing.
Hmm.
So, where does somebody even begin when they're like, I feel like I have completely lost sight of who I am, and I am. I can see that I'm putting myself last. What now?
Hmm. It's a really good question. And my answer would be that is why I created the course that I created
Yeah.
for current and future moms, because it has all of that, the practicals, the how-tos, what to implement. And the whole point for me was, how can I make this not overwhelming for women who are
Mm,
already burned out and
yeah.
overwhelmed? How can I make this sustainable? How can I give them quick wins that actually will improve their lives? So I would say the course is called She's Fucking Back. But beyond that, for some quick wins, I think it's just looking at your life and saying, well, first of all, the awareness is the first thing, and it's probably the biggest hurdle. So when I do these bi-weekly free or complimentary live webinars, and I'm always sharing on a different topic.
Hmm.
And when I look in on things like what is causing somebody's problem. So let me give you an example. I just did a workshop on getting people to treat you better,
Okay.
and what the emotional root cause is of people treating you poorly or shitty or being rude or mean or all those kind of things, or not putting you first and things like that. And the emotional root cause of somebody not putting you first or prioritizing you
Hmm.
is essentially you not putting yourself first or
Hmm.
prioritizing yourself. So here's the really interesting part. The interesting part is when I intuitively look in on the collective of all the people who showed up live for that, listened to it on the replay or the podcast that I have, the awareness that they had of how many times they were putting themselves last or not prioritizing themselves was like 14%.
Yeah.
So that means, what's the math? 86% of the time that they're doing it, they're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
So
I believe it.
the biggest problem, like number one, if you've identified that you're burned out, or you've identified the symptom that you've got one of these undesired things going on, people, what was your initial thing?
Like not prioritizing yourself. You can see that
Yes.
you're putting yourself last, but like where do you even
Yes.
begin?
Okay, so if you can even acknowledge that and see that consciously, you're already way ahead, because
Yeah, so true.
86% of the times that you're doing it, you're not consciously aware of,
Hmm.
as a general rule. So our subconscious minds, this little neuroscience, our subconscious minds are basically running like 96% of our brains and what's going on. So we have these limiting beliefs and all those things holding us back, but they're just running on autopilot. So my first step is simply how do we get more in conscious understanding and alignment of this quote unquote mistake we're making? That's not our
Hmm.
fault at all. It's not your fault. Getting more conscious awareness that it's happening in the first place is 100% the first step.
Hmm.
So the metaphor that I always use is like, if you had 14% of a car, do you think you could get very far? No.
Hmm.
But the more consciously aware you are of the problem, the more your brain is on board with the fact of this is a problem, I need to find a solution to fix it. And then you can go to what the tools and solutions are, of which Janna and I both have many for you. So
Yeah.
if you're there, then come find us. But the first step to do is simply notice all the times throughout the day that you're putting yourself last. It could be serving a meal for your family and you make everybody a plate and then you sit down to eat and your toddler is like, more, I want water, whatever the fuck they want. And then you pop up and go get it and you haven't even taken a fucking bite yet. And
Hmm.
then all you do is notice and say, oh, there, it just popped up again without judgment. That's the biggest key
Hmm.
because beating yourself up is a whole other
Totally.
quote unquote mistake that's not your fault that causes a whole other host of problems and symptoms in our life. But
Yeah.
all you need to do is start becoming consciously aware and say, oh, there it popped up again. And the more you do that, the more you raise the conscious awareness, the more you can fix your car. And I always say, like, you could drive a car if it was 80% built, right? You probably don't need an air conditioning and you don't need a radio, but it's going to get you a whole lot further than the 14% built car. So even if
Yeah,
you
so
can
true.
do this for a week or a few days or a week and be like, wow, I do this so much. I had no idea. Then that's when you're ready to do the deeper healing work and get the tools that are
Hmm.
source aligned for how do I increase my self love? How do I start putting myself first? What can I actually do day to day to increase and shift this? And even I'll give one tool right now though. So please first start with increasing your awareness.
Hmm.
And then another, like, here's a quick win that you can do. Let me see which tool to give. I'm gonna give the one that I am upgrading for myself right now. So I
Okay.
always tell women, do something first for yourself every single morning before doing something for somebody else. And here's the crazy thing about these tools that come from source. They sound so simple and easy. Your
Yep.
conscious mind and your ego is going to be like, that's it. That's
Yeah.
nothing.
Can't be.
But what 100%. So most people will hear this tool and not even implement it. But on a energetic source level, there is so much more happening behind the scenes than we are aware of. So it might feel really easy and be like, that's all I had to do. That's nothing. But just because something is simple does not mean it is not extremely fucking
Totally.
powerful and transformational. So do this tool every day for a week or two and get back to me and tell me like what shifts you start noticing on how people start to prioritize you, put you
Hmm.
first in any area of your life.
Yeah.
Um, and that can be as simple if you're a mom, it can be as simple as can you take some deep breaths before you jump up and get the baby out of the crib? Can you, I mean, it can be just a couple of minutes. And then for me, I was doing that. And now my higher self came back and was like, no, girl, you need 15 minutes of this. So I would say if you have the time and the capacity, I still have two little kids. I still co-sleep with my little, yet I just set a timer for a little bit earlier this morning. I got up before he did and I took 15 minutes to do a quick body scan meditation. So it can be whatever you want, but it has to be something just for you. And you do
Hmm.
it before you do anything else for anybody in your
Yeah.
household. You do it every single day. You stay consistent. It's just part of the way that you are, the way that you be.
Hmm.
And that is one of many, many tools that I have, but it is extremely powerful for
Yeah.
increasing your self-love.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the whole like we want it to be complicated, right? We're like it has literally been decades in the
Mhm.
creation of our problems in our life, so we're like the solution has to be some 87-step process that's extremely
Yep.
complicated. And I feel like 90% of the time it is something that is simple. Like it's not necessarily complicated, but it
Yes.
does take the repetition for our
Yes.
brains and our nervous systems and our emotions to
Yes.
get behind a new way of thinking and a new way of being.
100%.
Okay, so you have awareness and you start to prioritize yourself. What would you say, is something that people should be prioritizing next for like getting on this self-love journey?
Something to prioritize next. The thing is, it really is so individual for each person
True.
because
Yes.
we have our creator field. So, quick recap, I'm sure you've heard this before from Janna. Your creator field is built up of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, and it is creating your reality. It is radiating out to everybody, every situation, circumstance, and event in your
Hmm.
life, and manifesting your life day to day, every single minute. So, the thing is, people can be, depending on your soul contract, your attributes that were chosen by your soul and your higher self before you got to earth, all those things, you have different things already in your creator field. You have different ingredients, we call them attributes. You have different soul lessons. So
Hmm.
everyone's circumstances are usually very, very different. You might have you might be here to work on a self-image problem, and my biggest thing is my self-love problem, or whatever it is.
Yeah, totally.
So, if somebody is really ready to, this is what I say to my the moms, current and future
Hmm.
moms in my world. I say, if you want to proactively if you want to proactively increase your self-love and your self-image, that would be my motherhood course. So that's like going to improve every area of your life in a group setting. If you have a either a goal that you're trying to attain, something that you want to accomplish, or a problem like a recurring thing that happens that's undesired, oh, somebody treating you a certain way or a bad thing happening over and over, or like something you want to fix or change, you do that in a one-on-one session because then we can
Mm.
look in and go
Hmm.
into your creator field and see like what is the program running here subconsciously that she's not even aware of
Yeah.
that is causing this limiting thing or preventing her from getting the thing that she wants in this reality, and then we can find like the custom protocol for you for that. I mean, I would do both, but I'm just like, I'm going balls to the wall with my healing. And I know that's not for everybody, but that's kind of like how
Hmm.
I have things set up. It's
Yeah,
hard to say what would be the next thing for everybody because that is so specific. But
totally.
the way I have things laid out in my course is like, there's self-love things in there and self-image things in there that are
Hmm.
intuitively tested to be the most transformational for the women who take the course. So like it will take you on a sequence that makes sense. But I wish I had a better answer for you
No, that's
for
totally fine.
that's specific for the listeners, but that's kind of how I approach it in my world or when people come to me is that's kind of my flow.
Absolutely. Okay. For you, if you're willing to share, what has been your like biggest shift when it comes to like self-image and self-love?
How
If
do
you
I
could pick
pick
one, I
one?
know we're like,
I'm like, I've been working on these both for over a year. So really my one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime for sure is self-love. And that is why I had this spiritual awakening in the first place after having my son. That's why I went through all of the things like maternal gatekeeping and um, all of the anxiety and all of the putting myself last and all of the burnout because I had to
hmm.
experience the lowest of the lows so that I can heal and experience the highest of the highs
Mm, yeah.
and be on my soul pull, which is to heal things and then turn around and help the women behind me who are still trying to figure it out. So that's why I went through, this I call it death by a thousand paper cuts in
Yes.
motherhood and even dealing with infertility, unexplained infertility. It's like, what else, God? Like, what else do you want to throw at me? It's all things that I can now help other women navigate because I've been through them. So, certainly, self-love for me
Hmm.
is in this lifetime, I think one of my biggest soul lessons. And if anybody listens to my podcast or kind of follows along with my story, you'll hear about how my son's sleep for the past
Hmm.
2 years has been very reflective of my self-love levels. And every time which Janna actually helped me with in a recent round, which was amazing. But every time his sleep gets worse and he has a hard time falling asleep, wakes up in the middle of the night, has a tantrum in the middle of the night, wakes up at 5 a.m., whatever that looks like, or all of the
Hmm.
above, that's a sign to me. That's a reflection and it always points back to an upgrade that I get on my self-love and how
Yeah.
to put myself first more, prioritize myself, most recently, I just got the tool about I need to be doing 15 minutes for myself in the morning, like I said. And before it was just, I'm just going to do some quick breathing. And my higher self is like, no, girl, like we're getting serious about this. So
You gotta step the game up. Yep.
for some reflections, I mean, I've shifted a reflection in minutes before. If it's just
Hmm.
kind of a surface level reflection, I've also been shifting this sleep reflection for over a year because there is are levels to it if it's a really,
Yeah.
really deep soul lesson. So that's why it keeps popping back up until I master self-love in my life. I'm still um uncovering new levels of healing and new ways to prioritize myself and put myself
Hmm.
first as a mom and in every area of my life really, but it has been a really interesting journey. And again, like the for me, the ends justify the means. So I would rather
Hmm.
have a harder life where I grow more and have more fulfillment and enrichment on all that I've healed than an easy life where I learn nothing. So it's been worth it to me. But
Yeah.
yes, it has. Not sleeping is definitely a challenge, but it all ties
Yes.
back to me to self-love lessons for sure.
100%. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you also sharing like the timeline that this has taken and how much like work has gone into it because I think so many times people were like, "Oh, well, I'm going to work on prioritizing myself or I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to do this thing for me." And then when we don't see instantaneous results, because that's what
Yeah.
we've been conditioned to expect in our society, we're like, well, it must not be working. Like I
Yeah.
must just be resistant and it's I'm the problem. And then they
Hmm.
stop. But I think like even just as you said, like it's been over a year and I'm sure you can see how you've like moved the needle forward and
Hmm.
created so many results, but it's still
Yes.
necessarily not necessarily where you want it to be.
Yes.
So, what would be your advice for that person who's like, okay, I've been working on it and here it is coming up again and again, or I feel like things aren't necessarily moving forward or changing the way that I want?
Well, that is where intuition, having a highly trained intuition comes in because you can lower the veil and see that. So even with you, we looked into what level in the game am I on
Yep.
of this reflection. And I think on that one it was like level 7 out of 10 or something. So it shows
Hmm.
that there's an end in sight.
So true.
We can also see how rooted you are to things in your creator field. So basically some things, like I said, can happen instantly, and some things you need to stay consistent with
Hmm.
for a period of time and hold that frequency for an extended period of time to basically prove that you've learned the lesson and that
Yeah.
this is your new way of being. I was
Hmm.
thinking about this the other day about how we call them tools, and tools to me are like something that you use once and then you're done with, but really
Yeah.
what they are I call them ways of being. Like this is your new way of being. I'm going to give
So
you a
true.
tool, putting yourself first every single morning. And that's not something you do for a week and then you're done. This is now who the fuck you are. It's
Yeah.
a it's a habit, it's habitual, and then it becomes non-declarative and it's just who you are. It's just like I'm thirsty, so I take a drink of water. It's like I wake up and I put myself first. That is what, that is the level of basically non-declarative mastery you need
Yeah,
with these tools or ways of being for you to really be creating the things in life that you want and stop creating the things in life that you don't want. So it's really really that understanding that consistency is what it takes. And yeah, I imagine it could be very discouraging not
totally.
to feel like anything is working. And I've been there before. I mean, I've had low lows, girl, with not sleeping with my son. He
Yeah.
fucking he would not go to sleep or sleep through the night without being latched onto my nipple for 18 months because he was using basically like the breast milk as his pacifier and his sleep aid. And that was
Yeah.
some really dark fucking nights of the soul. Like it was really hard. It became a million percent easier getting the intuitive tools to be like, what's going on here? What tools can I do to shift this? And like actually seeing results is through
Hmm.
intuition. It
Yeah,
wasn't
totally.
through people take so much physical action, but they're guessing when you can
Yeah.
literally look up the 98% or more accurate um, protocol, physical, energetic, and emotional protocol to hit all angles of the problem instead of just like, oh, I don't know, should I get like a night nanny and pay thousands of dollars on that and hope that works? Or should
Hmm.
we like actually look in and see what my higher self wants me to learn from this and what I can do to sustainably change this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's really amazing. And I think it is just so important to see that there's like number one, there can be an end in sight, and number two, there is like a purpose to like
Yeah.
whatever is happening, there is a
Yes.
purpose, and with that purpose comes a, itemized solution of yes, you do these things, you learn these things will shift and change. And I think that's such an
Hmm.
important reminder, especially I feel like before learning intuition and all these things, there were so many times where I was like, I just don't understand. It's like, and
Hmm.
now it's like,
Hmm.
I can actually understand why this is happening and I can see like how it's benefiting me in some way, even if the current experience is so frustrating or annoying and uncomfortable.
100%. 100%.
So, is there anything else that you feel like would be important to share?
Oh my gosh. To combine 6 years worth of hard learned lessons.
Mhm.
Um, I think the biggest thing that I would say is if you have a problem or something that is undesired in your reality, there is always a solution.
So
And I
true.
know that it can feel life is hard,
Yeah.
right? Earth school is hard. It's not supposed to be easy though. We're well, one thing is like expecting that our life should be easy is where a lot of pain and suffering comes from, because then it makes us not grateful for the healing, the growth, the lessons, and how far you've come. Makes you not appreciate and grateful for the amazing blessings that you do have. So that's one thing. But the
Hmm.
other thing is 100% of the time, if there's a problem, there is a solution. And if there's not a solution, there is a way that it can be navigated with more grace, ease,
Mm.
effortlessness.
Yeah.
Like you said, a way to see what the lesson behind this is, a way to um, move through the hard seasons of life and all of that. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but all of that for me has been made possible by intuition and learning how to lower the veil and see what's going on and read my soul contract and see why a quote unquote bad thing happened to me and
Yeah.
why it was actually the best thing ever for me and provided so much value and benefits, not to spiritually bypass, to still feel like, wow, that was fucking
Yeah.
hard and feel that and move through that, but then to be like, and I'm grateful it happened because the
Hmm.
fact, like I said, the fact that I got hit by a truck in motherhood means now I can help thousands of women navigate it more effortlessly than I
Yeah.
did and be the person to support women who I never had. So, so don't give up. And and just know that if you are ready to heal and you want to heal, the healing is available for you. And most people don't want to heal and they don't want solutions to their problems. So if you're like me and you're like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try this, and I heard Reiki's good and I heard, acupuncture is good and tapping and this,
Hmm.
like if you're out there trying everything, number one, like intuition and self-love and self-image. But um
Yes.
but like kudos to you, and I'm
Hmm.
celebrating you because most people don't want to heal and they just want to be victims in their life and let the world happen to them
Yeah.
and be bitter and be upset and hate everything. And that is like 86% of the population looking in intuitively. And so if you are looking for ways to improve your life and heal and
Hmm.
show up better for yourself and those in your life, like you are a special, really, really special soul. And you are here to help raise the frequency of the earth. So
Love that. Yeah.
what a special thing it is to have this lifetime and learn all our lessons and be here together.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
How do people find you? You kind of shared a little bit about She's Fucking Back in your motherhood program, but
Yeah.
how do people
Yeah.
find you? What are you offering these days?
Well, I'm definitely all over on social media. So I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and the handle is I am Brenna Ruiz on both. And then I have my podcast, which is the Intuitive Mom Podcast.
Hmm.
I mentioned that I do every other week, I have a complimentary live webinar. I'm teaching on a new topic that's a self-love or self-image topic. Show up live, hang out with me, ask questions. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, She's Fucking Back is going to be coming back. I'm launching, there's a 2 hour workshop that kicks off the course. So that's coming in mid-August. So that's a fun one. I also have one-on-one intuition sessions all the time. I have a coaching container if you want to work more deeply. And then I also, coming up probably next year, we'll relaunch my intuition mastery program too. So you
Mm,
lots of ways to connect and work together, but most of all, I would
absolutely.
just love to hear from you and chat. I'm always in the DMs over on Instagram and would definitely love to just say hi and hear from you.
Fantastic. And I will put your links and stuff in the show notes so people can access those. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was an honor, as always. Um, yeah.
Thank you so much, Janna. Yeah, the honor was all mine. My pleasure.
All right. Have a fantastic rest of your day.